they introduced her in such a Moon. Hold on, she's like. Hey guys, welcome back. We are CineChix. I'm Christina.
And I'm Jen, and today we're talking about Black Widow, which was directed by Kate Shortland. What'd you think?
So, my overall thought about the movie was internal bleeding because as much as those characters were thrown around, I don't know how there was no internal bleeding. Seriously though, I did enjoy the movie. I thought it was funny. I thought that it really invoked the emotion I'm assuming that the movie wanted to invoke for the character, even though they're doing it after they already killed her off, but whatever. Of course, the movie has its like problems, but overall, I'd say that I definitely enjoyed the movie. It was definitely worth the wait, and it was nice to be able to go out to a theater and see a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
What were your overall thoughts?
I agree. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad that it finally came out because, I mean, we've only been waiting for it for like 7 years or longer.
I know.
But I do think that, like, it definitely wasn't the best Marvel movie, but overall I really enjoyed it. I thought Florence Pugh was freaking hilarious, and I loved her. What specifically did you like about it?
I completely agree with you. Florence Pugh's character, Yelena Belova, she was one of the best parts of the movie, and they were able to create a lot of dynamic for her. Like, you saw how the experience of, you know, when they were younger, how that affected her as an adult. She had a lot of personality. She was really funny, and I feel like, you know, when they do throw her in with the rest of the Avengers, whoever that may be, I think that she would be like a really good fit. It wouldn't be like weird, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, I know this whole movie was just like her passing the torch to Florence, but like I'm actually super excited to see her in future Marvel movies.
Exactly. I thought that the action was pretty good. It was very, which I figured, very in the vein of like Winter Soldier, and it's in that, very much in that vein of Marvel phases, because what was that, phase 2? It has like this like a look about it, the way the action is, the way it's shot, it just has that look.
Yeah, well, I also feel like they used some of the exact same moves, the best of the action moves. Like, some of them were like scene for scene. It seemed like they matched.
Yeah, I thought that it was cool that they tied back a lot of, not, okay, it's not a lot, but there's some things that in previous movies that people make comments about towards Black Widow or Natasha, and you don't know what that meant, and then like it was clear, like for example, like when Loki brought up Dreykov's daughter, you know, you're just kind of like, okay, like, you know, I thought he was referring to her, like, because he made the Red Room, but then, like, it was referring to a plot point in her backstory. So I thought it was cool that, like, now when you like go back and watch the other ones, there'll be little like tidbits of her story that we inherently didn't. It didn't make sense, but it wasn't so big that you're just like, that was confusing. So I thought that was cool that they, you know, so when you watch it and then you watch the other ones, it's not like they just kind of like pulled her story out of nowhere. They kind of like were dropping little hints here and there that ties back to earlier movies.
Yeah, and that's with that point that you're making right now of like, when you watch it back, it adds to it. I totally agree with you, and I feel like that's what we missed out on this movie coming out so late, because if you're like a brand new like teenager watching Marvel for the first time, and then you insert this movie like right after Civil War, then it adds to your experience. But for us, it's just kind of like retroactive. It's like, okay, well, now that makes a little bit more sense. But I think that's why it doesn't hold as much of a weight as if it were placed whenever it should have been made.
Yeah, you're completely right. And I think that they did a good job of actually showing how traumatic that experience is for a Black Widow. Like, I feel like when I watched the movie and then think about how we thought of her character and her backstory, I didn't feel before this movie, I didn't get the trauma of it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and that's weird to say because we know pretty much like what they did, but at the same time, for whatever reason, up until you kind of like see what they're doing, like, it seems a lot more traumatic, and I feel like it really it did a great job of imparting on you how emotionally disturbing what they went through was. And it kind of like makes you kind of feel bad that like, forget like the sexual nature of her character in previous movies, just like how flat sometimes she was written in the movies, and it's like, this woman went through so much, and like she was denigrated at first to such a like flat character. That sounds like a dislike, but I like the fact that the movie kind of like, yeah, it added more of, you know, you being like, wow, like this is crazy that like they went through this. What did you like about the movie?
I agree with you. I really loved, obviously, Florence Pugh and David Harbour. I felt like they were both like hilarious but believable characters, and I thought that their characters added a lot to the story. And I feel like a lot of movies, whenever they pass the torch, it can come off as like try hard or just like we don't really care. We just want the character that we know and love. But in this, I really loved the way that they had written Florence Pugh's character, and like we believe what she went through and we believe her doing all this action, and I just am excited to see more of her. I also liked the fact that it started in Ohio because, you know, Black Widow and I were like next door neighbors because I grew up in Ohio, so, you know, whatever. Although I do have to say, like, I don't remember many kids in 1995 in Ohio that had blue hair, but I'm all for it.
That was my immediate thought when it said Ohio 1995 and she's riding around with blue hair. I'm like, she definitely would have been, they would have looked at her like, and I find it hard to believe that they would implant a family of spies, right? And allow one to have something that would be an identifier.
Make them stand out? Exactly.
Yeah.
I was wondering, why did she have blue hair when her hair is normally red, which also stands out? So I'm like, I don't know.
It's quite possible that the reason why they just kept it blue was because the actress, her hair in real life for a while was blue at the ends. Because she's
Mila Jovovich's daughter.
From following her on Instagram, I saw that her daughter's hair she was cycling through different colors. So I think that when they started filming, her hair was that color, and they were just like, it's fine, and didn't make her like get rid of it. That's what I think, because the actress in real life's hair was blue.
Or
definitely
2020,
not
2019.
1995.
2019 hair, because you know this was filmed like 4 years ago, 3 years ago. Whatever. I really liked the fact that we see where Natasha gets that vest that she wore, which was from this movie. Like you said, like we got like little Easter eggs that gives you like a little bit of tidbit information that we didn't know before. So I thought that was really cool. What didn't you like about it?
Well, I did think, it's not like inherently a bad thing, but it's kind of like a bad thing because they hold the shots for so long that you can tell. So like when people are falling and jumping, you can see like it looks very gamey, like like really good game graphics. Yeah. And it wouldn't be a big deal if they didn't hold on to those shots so long. Like if it was just like kind of like a short, like, oh yeah, that's, you know, that's not real, but you know, it's not held long, so it doesn't really take you out. But I feel like there are some shots that were held so long that it kind of took you out. You start to
it just made me feel like I was playing a video or watching a video game gameplay.
Exactly. So like, you know, I didn't like that because they held those shots for so long that it kind of took you out of the fact that you're watching a movie, because then it started to turn into like, I'm watching a video gameplay. Yeah. And I also didn't like the fact that it doesn't happen often, but I noticed that there were points where you can clearly tell it was a stunt double. Like, obviously, we know they use stunt doubles. Yeah. But there were some points where, like, it was super clear that it was a stunt double. Like, you saw a whole face, and it was not the actress. Like, it's not, like, a big thing, but it did bother me a little bit, because it takes you out of the, like, because obviously we all know they're not doing it, but it kind of takes you out of it a little bit, because then you're like, oh, that's a stunt double. I also did not care for Taskmaster, and
Yes,
more
I agree.
so the reveal. I feel
Yeah.
like all the stuff that I was like when I was watching videos about like who Taskmaster kind of like was and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that, like I was expecting like some type of big reveal, and I feel like while the reveal is big for her arc, it is not big in general. I feel like we found out who it was, and no one, not even a gasp,
No,
like
nobody cared.
not even like a nothing, like absolutely nothing. And I'm just like, okay. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I get why they made Taskmaster who they made it, but at
Yeah.
the same time, you're just kind of like, I feel like we could have had that arc and had Taskmaster be someone else still.
Yeah, I
Like I
agree.
feel like we could have had both.
Yeah.
So I didn't too much care for Taskmaster. What did you not like about the movie?
I agree. I did not like Taskmaster, especially because the character only has one line in the entire movie. So it just like there's no character development. You don't care about the character at all, and it just super falls flat. And it could have been like a super awesome character, but what they did with it, not so great.
Yeah.
It was just a hollow character and more like a robot than an actual human being. I did not really like the action. It felt like it was done by like the B team, and it didn't really mesh with the rest of the feel of the movie. I felt like the action felt like the Disney Plus TV shows that we're getting. It felt on par with that and not like on par with the other Marvel movies. Um, I wasn't a fan of the sparkly red smoke stuff. I just felt like it was cheesy. I feel like the reason behind it is fine. I just felt like the actual visual effect of it being a sparkly red smoke was weird and took me out of it because I'm like, it just looks fake. It doesn't even look like it's like a smoke bomb or something. It just looks like, oh, you're like sparkly, now you're back. You're good now. I unfortunately wasn't a huge fan of Rachel Weisz in this movie. I felt like everybody else did a great job, but I just kind of felt like she phoned it in, and I didn't love her character in this, which is disappointing because
Yeah.
I like her a lot. I just didn't.
Yeah, and because she's pretty great in everything else she's in,
Yeah.
maybe it's like just what she had to work with type of thing. Out of all the other like family members, her character was the most flatly
Yeah.
written,
Yeah. Well, she had. I mean,
so
she had
maybe
a
that.
good arc, and she had like.
Yeah.
I just think she just didn't. She just didn't care. Yeah. That's about it.
Okay.
I liked it overall. I definitely recommend seeing it. I think that we all need like a fun Marvel movie, and even though it has like the underlying theme of, it came out of the Me Too movement, and Drokov is like looks like Weinstein and is basically after Weinstein.
Yeah, he was giving me he was giving me Harvey
Yeah.
Weinstein vibes.
But I feel like the
But
way that they did it, like it wasn't like one of those agenda movies that is like in your face and just like spells it out for you and tells you, like, it wasn't like annoying like that. It had its agenda, but I feel like it did it in a good way. Like it wasn't
yeah,
annoying.
it was more of a you think about it afterwards, and you're like, oh yeah, like the whole montage in the beginning of like girls being trafficked basically,
Yeah.
and then like how he was acting towards Widow at the end.
Yeah.
Well, Natasha, I'm sorry, because
Yeah.
there's multiple Black Widows, but Natasha specifically, like a lot of the abusive like behavior and how close he was talking to characters, like, and it was like, why are you feeling so comfortable to be that close to me? Well, not me, but the character, and like like the way he was yeah, it was just very like it does have a message
Hammering
without
it.
it. Yeah, like it's there, they sprinkle it in there in little ways, and then afterwards you kind of think about it like, huh, that was icky.
And I liked that this movie kind of tied into. I won't give any spoilers in case people haven't watched it yet, but it kind of ties in to like the Marvel Disney Plus shows. So I thought that was cool.
Yep. I do think that everyone should go to the movies to see this movie. Yeah, I don't know where else I was going with that, but yes, you should go. You should definitely go to the theater to see the movie. It's definitely back to like regular theater. Well, depending on where you live, but
Yeah.
where we live, it's definitely back to kind of normal. So, you know, you sit in a theater where people like, but you know, that stuff is fun. It's like creates, you know, an experience. So if you agree with us or disagree with us, be sure to leave it in the comments. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit that little notification bell so you know every time we post new videos, which as always will be a lot more often now that the theaters are back open and in full swing.
Until next time.